Hello everyone, this is Vibhu Dwivedi from SSB Crack Exams, and today we had the most awaited examination, that is CDS 1 2021. And if you have been following our courses, you must have definitely done well for sure. And here I am to discuss all the GK questions that are the 120 questions. So the first series will be completed by me. So without much ado, let's get started. So the first question here was, we were supposed to identify the type of soil and they have given properties. So the properties were things like rich in iron and magnesium, okay, clay, and found in the southern region of Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. So basically they all were indicating to the black soil. This is a straight question from NCERT science soil chapter, right? So we are getting straightforward question. Moving on to the next question, three varieties Arabica, Robusta, Librica, these are the varieties of coffee, right? And out of this, Librica is the rarest coffee brand which we have. Next question we have, aluminum is manufactured from. So any metal is manufactured from its ore, and the ore of aluminum is bauxite here. Next question we have, which one of the following seaports gained significance for handling iron ore exports? So for iron ore exports, we have Marmagawa in Goa Port Trust, right? So this is famous for handling iron ore exports to Japan. Next, we have which one of the following is not the function of money. So friends, basically money has three functions: store of value, unit of account, and medium of exchange. So automatically this one is nullified and D will be the correct option here. Next, we have got the situation where the equilibrium level of real GDP falls short of potential GDP, right? So this has nothing to do with inflation. So all these three things will be rejected, and straight away we can select recessionary gap. And that mainly happens because if there will be more people underemployed, so they will be getting paid less. So that will be reducing the potential GDP. So the correct option is option A over here, right? Moving on to the next question, we have the excess of total expenditure of government over its total receipt, excluding borrowing. So this is the definition of fiscal deficit directly, right? So B will be the correct option. Next, we have got the questions on exchange rates, right? And if you see, we are supposed to identify the correct statement here. So out of all, the option B is correct statement here, because a fixed exchange rate is regime applied by the government or the central bank, that is RBI, right? Next question, we have got the name of Francois Bernier. He was a physician to which one of the following? So the correct answer for this is Prince Darasiko. As per the Wikipedia, you can see he was briefly the personal physician to Mughal Prince Darasiko, which is the option one of here. Then later he was attached to the court of Aurangzeb. Next question we have, which one of the following British firm was taken over by Surajmul and Nagarmul group? So it was MacLeod which was taken over. So option A will be correct. Next we have, which one of the following statements is not correct with respect to Riotvari settlement? So out of all the question, C option is not matching because 30-year system was there in Mehalwadi system and it was not there in Riotvari system. Next question we have, which one of the following statement about British Indian medical services is not correct? Okay, so the C option is not correct because we also had Indian surgeons in the services. 13th question, when was the monopoly of China trade lost by East India Company? So it was in the year of 1833. The East India Company lost the monopoly. 14th question we have, NDMA, that is National Disaster Management Authority. It is headed by whom? So that is the Prime Minister of India, and you know it's a very important organization to handle calamities. Question number 15, we have, which one of the following statement regarding casting vote, okay, is correct, right? So it is casted by the speaker and acting as such, that is correct, okay. Voting is done in the first instance, that is also correct. It is cast in the case, in case of equality, yes, in case of equality only. So in that case, the fourth option will be wrong, rest all three are correct. So option A will be the correct option here. Next, we have got equality before the law. So this is a direct question on article, and we know this is Article 14, which guarantees right to equality before law and equal protection for law within the territory of India. Next, we have got legal positivism theory. It was given by John Austin, who is one of the renowned legal philosophers. Next question we have got, which among the following said democracy means a system of government by consent? So this was said by John Locke. So that is going to be the correct option over here. And he's also known as father of liberalism. So you can also make a note of that. Next, we have got 19. Milpa and Ladang are different names for. So these are the different names of shifting cultivation, right? Next question, which one of the following approaches ILO emphasized initially? So that was the approach of basic needs. Next question we have, which one of the following element is non-metal but lustrous, right? So generally we see that metals are lustrous, right? So the only non-metal which is lustrous is iodine with the symbol I. Next question we have got, which one of the following has metal both malleability and ductility? So malleability is the ability to be beaten into sheets, and ductility is the ability to be drawn into wires, right? So obviously there's only one metal which can fulfill all these criteria, that is the gold metal. And also just for your knowledge, 1 gram of gold is strong enough that it can be used to draw 2 kilometers wire, right? So 1 gram gold equals to 2 kilometers of wire. Next, we have got we have three copper wires of different length and different area cross section. Okay, so this is the copper wire. One copper wire is like this. One copper wire might be like this. But the thing is, this is also copper and this is also copper. And as far as the resistivity is concerned, it depends upon the material. Okay, so material in all the cases is copper only, so it's not going to have any changes because we have the same matter. So D option will be the correct option here, right? Next option we have got, which one of the following about fission is correct? So basically fission means division, right? Now it can happen in biology, right? It can be related to the creation of new individual by the mean of cell division. So this is how they have related with biology. Okay, and in chemistry you can see heavy nuclei can be broken into smaller nuclei, just like you say in the case of uranium, right? So these two statements are relevant, but you see the third statement is not at all relevant because it is not talking about fission, rather it is talking about fusion, right? So this statement is cancelled, so we are left with two options, that is option 1 and option 2. So C will be the correct option here. Okay, next question we have, which one of the following is an electric conductor? So you see plastic shield, distilled water and wooden sheet can't be electric conductor. So there's only one option left, that is the human body, which is a good conductor of electricity. And there's a logical reason behind this as well, because for the communication we have got sodium ions and potassium ions in our body, right? So they can also be a conductor of electricity, right? Next, 26, a non-spherical shining spoon can generally be considered as. So first option you have to reject, because if anything is non-spherical, we cannot have a spherical mirror that way, right? There is no question of lens because it has to be transparent at least. So lens can't be the case, okay, and plane mirror can't be the case. So we are left with the parabolic mirror option, right? Next question we have, which one of the following is pioneer in discovering the heating effect of electric current? So these all scientists are important. You know, Isaac Newton gave the law of gravity. Galileo told you that sun is the center and planets are revolving, right? J.J. Thomson is the person who discovered electron. So ultimately, James Joule is left, okay, who discovered the heating effect of electric current, and we also call it as Joule's heating effect, right? I square RT, right? Next, we have question number 28. Which one of the following laws of electromagnetism does not give the direction of magnetic field? Okay, so all these three options you see, you will get the direction of magnetic field directly or indirectly. But here, the fourth option which you have, okay, it will tell you the magnitude of EMF. So this option will be rejected. It is not giving. So D option will be correct. Next, we have the case of antibiotic. Okay, so here they have commented that antibiotic is not useful, okay, against virus, whereas vaccine is. Okay, and they have listed various reasons. So out of this, the most appropriate reason will be the option number D. Okay, because viruses, they help your body or your immune system, okay, to fight the virus. Sleeping sickness is caused by. So this question could have been solved very easily, because you See, out of all the options, soma is there in only one word which is related to sleep. Rest all the words are not at all related to sleep. So basically, we select this only. Like if you don't know bio also, then also you could have selected, right? Because if soma is related to sleep, okay? So the first option will be correct here. Next question, which one of the following is free living animal? So if you see all the first three options, liver flu, Pucaria and Plasmodium, they are one or the other parasites. The planaria is a free living flatworm, right? So the option will be option D here. Next question, which one of the following is the structure of cardiac muscle? This is a straight question from your NCRTs, okay? And we already know that the shape will be cylindrical, okay, branched and uninucleate, right? So we will select the D option here. Question number 3 asks, which one of the following is a naturally occurring acid found in abundance in tomato? So we know tomato contains only one acid, that is oxalic acid, okay? And also remember that spinach, that also contains oxalic acid, and oxalic acid can be used to remove ink stains also. 34th question we have, which one of the following is used as a soda acid fire extinguisher? Okay, so basically that is baking soda, which is also commonly known as the sodium hydrogen carbonate. The formula of sodium hydrogen carbonate is NaHCO3, right? So basically what happens is when you put acid to it, okay, it makes some salt and releases carbon dioxide gas, okay, which helps in extinguishing the fire. However, this is not useful for electric fires. Next question we have got, which one of the following compound is used for softening hard water? So for softening hard water, we have got washing soda, right? Basically, this is the washing soda. It can be used to remove the hardness, permanent hardness of the water, right? Because hardness basically occurs because of the presence of calcium or magnesium salts. Next question, it is a straight question from the first chapter of NCERT class 10th. Okay, here they're asking calcium oxide, right? Calcium oxide is vigorously, this is calcium oxide, it is vigorously reacting with water, okay, to form slaked lime. So CaOH twice is your slaked lime, right? Now they are telling that this will react with one component A in the air to form a thin layer of component B. So basically, it will this calcium of this slaked lime will react with carbon dioxide, okay, to form the thin layer of calcium carbonate, okay. So this becomes your A, okay, and this becomes your B, and when it become when it solidifies, it helps in the coating of the wall, okay, and give you a shining finish, right? So D option will be correct, and it's a trades question from NCERT, okay. The next question we have got, how many internal reflections will take place in the primary rainbow? So let us have a look at this diagram here. Okay, so in this diagram you see for primary rainbow you get only one internal reflection. Okay, so the correct option will for this will be option B, right? Next question is, the direction of acceleration in uniform circular motion is. For this again we'll have to see the diagram. So look at this diagram everyone. Okay, now we have assumed a body which is accelerating uniformly in a circular motion, right? So obviously the acceleration will be in the towards the center, okay, and the velocity will be following like this. So you see 90-degree will be formed, so the correct answer will be perpendicular. Next, that is the option. Next, the weight of an object is due to, okay, so that is because of the force that body exert, because you know weight is m into g, right, and the unit of this is in newtons. It is a type of force only, so C option will be correct. Next, the size of particle being studied in nanotechnology is about. So you see everyone here, this is not nanometer, this is not nanometer, okay, and this is within nanometer. Angstrom can't be there, it is smaller than nanometer. So all these options are automatically rejected, and the range comes to be between 1 to 100 nanometer. So you see one nano device working on the cells because they are very small, so their unit also has to be in comparison. Next 41 question we have, which one of the following is correct about Pinaka? And this is a very famous multi-barrel rocket system. You must have seen this in the Republic Day every time it's put on the display, right? So it's all the statement out of all the statement, this statement, the first statement, A option is correct, okay, right? It's not a tank, it's not a submarine, it's not a drone, right? It's a multiple launching rocket system, okay. Here you see 12 rockets which can be launched. Next, we have which one of the following is not a member of Quad Nation. So basically in Quad Nation, we have got four countries. Okay, that is United States of America, India, Japan, and Australia, right? So here France is not the part of Quad group. This is what we need to take care of. Moving on to the next question we have. The first phase of exercise Malabar 2020 was conducted at. So the location for that was Vishakhapatnam where it was conducted. So option C will be the correct option over here, right? Moving on to the next question. It's a very famous actor, Sir Sean Connery, okay, who was died and he was popular for his movie that is known as Bond, James Bond. Okay, so he was the most famous actor. So obviously this would be a bonus question for many Hollywood watchers. Next, we have the Lurie hydroelectric power project is being constructed in which river? So the name of that river is Satluj River. Okay, basically situated in the Shimla and Kulu districts of Himachal. Next, we have got Karat Bangladesh 2020. It is a joint naval exercise. So they are asking apart from Bangladesh, which other country participated? So that is Thailand, right? Next question 47. Peninsula Shield Force is a military arm of. So now there are so many organizations they have named. So we have to name the correct organization. So that is Gulf Cooperation Council, right? It's a group of 10,000 soldiers which divided into various two brigades, right? And it is based in Saudi Arabia near the Kuwaiti and Iraqi borders. Next, we have got the Mission Saga 2. Okay, so they are asking the name of the ship which was involved in Mission Saga 2. So that ship, the name of that ship is INS Eravat, right? So that is the name. The D option will be correct, right? And basically, INS Eravat, what it did at the port of Djibouti, it carried out food aid for the people of Djibouti, right? Next question we have, in the year 2020, which one of the following tiger reserves, okay, was declared as the biosphere reserve? So in Asia, apart Maldives got two reserves are recognized, and India got one bioreserve recognized, that is Panna Tiger Reserve, which is in Madhya Pradesh, right? Next, we have got the 50th question here. It's asked the Kaleshwaram lift irrigation is in which state? So that is in Telangana state, right? 51 question, cell wall is not present in. Okay, so cell wall is present in bacteria, it is present in plants, it is present in fungi, but we humans we don't have cell wall, rather we have cell membrane. So D option has to be selected here. 52 question, if you look at, a child receives a tall beautiful plant, okay, as a gift from his father with a quiz, right? So the father asked her how she would verify whether the tall plant was a progeny of both tall parents, one short or one parent. So she can verify with this with the help of self-pollination, right? So the correct option here for this will be self-pollination. Next question, a student was doing an experiment on increasing the cell division among plants. She asked her supervisor to suggest specific plant hormone for the same. Had you been her supervisor, which plant hormone would you suggest? Okay, so here mostly the students will get confused between B and C option, but the correct option here will be option C, okay, which helps in the cell division. This helps in the growth of cell walls, not the division, right? So the most appropriate answer for this will be option C, right? That is cytokinin. Next question we have, which cell organelles have their own DNA and ribosome? So out of all the options, we have mitochondria and plastids having their own ribosomes and DNA. Next question we have, 55th question. Osmosis is the process of movement of water molecules. So that is the movement of water molecules from higher concentration to lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane, okay, like cellophane or a pig bladder, right? So this fully are already cancelled, right? And if you know the word of SPM, semi-permeable membrane, then you can directly select the option D. You don't have to go through these three options, right? Which is just there to confuse you. 56th question asked, growing of two or more crops simultaneously in the same field is a definite pattern known as, so that is known as intercropping. Like you see in the diagram, in the same field they are growing maize also, they are growing soybean also, and they are growing oats also, right? So this is an example of intercropping, which is the option A, and that option is the correct option here. Option B is the correct option here. 57th question we have got, when we heat lead nitrate, okay, in a boiling tube, we observe the emission of brown fumes. So brown fume, basically there's only one gas very famous for brown fumes. Even if you don't know anything, you should know that brown fumes basically comes in nitrogen dioxide. Okay, so this is a straight question from your NCERT class 10 first chapter, chemical reactions and equations. Here we do the thermal decomposition of lead nitrate. Out of a result, you get a yellow colored substance of lead oxide, plus this nitrate gas is also evolved apart from oxygen. So this gas basically has brown fumes. Okay, so as and when you decompose lead nitrate, you get brown fumes. Next question, we have got the 58th question. Which one of the following substances do silver articles react with that makes them look darker or articles black? So basically that is sulfur. Okay, sulfur combines with hydrogen in the atmosphere, it makes hydrogen sulfide. Okay, so silver reacts with hydrogen sulfide and oxygen to form silver sulfide, which makes the article black, as it is very much evident from the two spoons you can see. Okay, so these are the before and after image. So this is before corrosion, this is after corrosion. Okay, and the correct word for this is before getting tarnished. Okay, this is before and this is after. Next 59th question that we have here is, which one of the following metal is kept immersed in kerosene oil? Okay, so out of all the metals, if you see, only sodium is the correct option here. Sodium is kept immersed in the oil. Okay, that too kerosene oil, because you know that metals like sodium, potassium, and lithium, they are very reactive. They are so soft that they can be cut with the knife. Okay, and the moment they come in contact with oxygen or water, they blast, and their reaction is explosive. So to prevent their reaction with oxygen or water in the atmosphere, what we do, we try to cover them in a bottle having kerosene oil, right? Next question we have, a solution contains 20 gram of solute in 180 gram of solvent. If the solvent is water, what is the concentration of solution in terms of mass by mass percentage? So it's a very simple question. We all know that, suppose in a solution we have two components, we have solute and we have solvent, and these together constitute your solution. Okay, so if you look at the question here, we have to solute as 20 gram, we have 20 gram solute and 180 gram the solvent. So total solution is 200, total solution is of 200 grams, right? So this is the total mass of the solution, because they are asking mass by mass percentage. So the total mass of solution is 200. They are asking us the mass by mass percentage of solute. Okay, so the total percentage will be the mass of solute. So mass of solute is 20. Okay, divided by the total mass of solution, that will be 20 plus 180 into 100. Okay, when you solve this, you get 20 upon 200 into 100. Okay, 1 and this is 2 and ultimately you get 10% as the correct answer. So out of all the options, this was very easy. It appeared difficult, but it's very easy. Okay, you can solve the question like this, and I have already made you practice questions like this, so they were more difficult than what you're getting here. It's a very easy question and straightforward. You're getting the correct answer as the C option, right? So friends, overall, if you see, then CTS examination has maintained the trend of asking direct questions and questions from NCERT. So you have to be the first one to take the advantage of that. And definitely, if you are following our courses and are following our top-notch faculties at SSB Crack exams, you will be highly benefited. Rest assured for that. Now we will have Mr. Hemant Kasturi, who will be explaining your question from 61 to 120. So all the very best, everyone. Keep learning, stay blessed. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Hello, future warriors, and welcome to SSB Crack Exams. I'm Hemant, and I'm back here again to discuss with you about the next most important questions regarding the Combined Defense Services Examination 1 of 2021. So, in this particular session, I will be discussing from the question numbers 61 to 120. Question numbers 1 to 60 were already discussed in the previous session by Bibhav sir, and I hope that you people have enjoyed the explanation. And I hope that most of those questions are correct from your side. I hope that this session also from question number 61 to 120, these questions will also be correct, and I will give you a very brief explanation about each and every particular question. Okay, So I hope that your examination also went very well and you are aspiring for other future examinations, and you people are also preparing for SSB interviews. So all the very best for your future endeavors. Okay. So without wasting any time, let us start off with question number 61. And what does it say, sir? It says that which one of the following statements is not correct. Okay. So among these four statements, only one statement is not correct, whereas the other three statements are correct statements. Okay. So what are these statements? Option A says real GDP or real gross domestic product is calculated by valuing outputs of different years at common prices. Okay, what does it say? It says that real GDP is calculated by valuing outputs of different years at common prices. This is what the first sentence says. What does option B says? It says that potential GDP is the real GDP that the economy would produce if its resources were fully employed. Okay, so if its resources were fully employed, that particular time, whichever real GDP is there, that real GDP is called as the potential GDP. And what does option C say, sir? Option C says that nominal GDP is calculated by valuing outputs of different years at constant prices. And what does option D says? It says that real GDP per capita is the ratio of real GDP divided by population. So among these four statements, only one of these is absolutely not correct. And what is the answer, sir? The correct answer is option A. Okay, potential GDP, nominal GDP and real GDP per capita, these three definitions are absolutely correct, but the real GDP definition is wrong. What does it say, sir? It says that it is calculated by valuing outputs of different years at common prices. It is not common prices, it is the prices that are varying. Okay, so real gross domestic product is an inflation adjusted measure that reflects the value of all goods and services. Okay, so like all the GDP that you are finding out in the newspapers, the GDP value that you can find out regarding our country, all of those GDP that you are finding, they are all known as nominal GDP. Okay, when you are putting this nominal GDP at different points of time, at different timelines, then that nominal GDP will be transformed as the real GDP. That means if inflation is taken into consideration, then it will be called as real GDP, and if inflation is not taken into consideration, then it is called as the nominal GDP. Okay, so we need to understand that real GDP is constant price inflation corrected, a constant dollar GDP. Okay, it also makes comparing GDP from year to year from different years more meaningful because it shows comparisons of both quantity and value of goods and services. Okay, those candidates who want to get the complete explanation, you can pause this section here and then you can note down this explanation. Going through the next question is question number 62. It says that the mismatch in the regional or occupational pattern of job vacancies and the pattern of worker availability results in what? Okay, the mismatch in regional or occupational pattern of job vacancies and the pattern of worker availability results in what kind of unemployment? Is it option A, structural unemployment, or option B, disguised unemployment, or option C, altered unemployment, or option D, cyclical unemployment? The correct answer for this particular one is option A, structural unemployment. Okay, whenever there is a mismatch in the job vacancies and the pattern of the worker availability, then you call it as a structural unemployment. A best example I can say that if, for example, there is a teaching job that requires relocation to China, but a worker cannot secure a work visa due to certain visa restrictions, then there will be a structural unemployment. Okay, it can also happen when there is a technological change in the organization, such as workflow automation that displaces the need for the human labor. So it happens when what, sir? Structural unemployment. It happens when the skill set of a worker does not match the skills demanded by the jobs available, or alternatively when the workers are available but are unable to reach the geographical location of the jobs. Okay, going through the next question, question number 63, it says that the situation in an economy which is growing slowly along with rapid inflation or rising prices. That means your economy is also growing, but it is growing extremely slow, and it is also growing with the rapid inflation where prices are increasing. What is that kind of situation called as? Is it called as stagnation, or is it called as deflation, or is it known as stagflation, or is it known as recession? The correct answer for this particular one is option C, stagflation. Okay, stagflation occurs when there is a relatively slow economic growth and high unemployment, and there is also a very high inflation rate. Okay, that kind of situation is called as the stagflation. Okay, it is also alternatively defined as a period of inflation combined with a decline in the gross domestic product. Question number 64 asked about us regarding this question. It says that the increase in the private investment spending induced by the increase in government spending is known as what? It is also a economics related question. It asks the increase in private investment spending induced by the increase in government spending is called as what? Is it crowding in or deficit financing or crowding out or option D, pumping out? The correct answer for this particular one is option A, crowding in. Okay, crowding in is called is when it occurs when higher government spending will there and it leads to an increase in private sector investment. The crowding, what happens is whenever the government is spending more upon such resources, and then to increase and to get into the competition, even private sector players also come into play and they also increase their investments and all, then a crowding happens. Okay, so the crowding in it affects occurs because higher government spending leads to an increase in economic growth and therefore encourages firms to invest because there are now more profitable investment opportunities. Going through the next question, question number 65, it asks that this asset or assets that a borrower pledges in order to guarantee repayment of a loan is called as what? That means that thing that I put in a way to get my loan back, to in a way to get repay my loan, what is it called as? Okay, or any kind of asset or assets that a borrower will pledge, that means he will promise to guarantee as a repayment of a loan. What is it called as? Is it called as option A, check, or option B, collateral, or option C, guarantee card, or option D, bond? The correct answer for this particular one is option B, collateral. Okay, so any kind of thing, like for example, if I want money from a bank and if I'm putting my house asset, then that is called as a collateral. Okay, so I'm giving my house documents to the bank in the case of the money. That means if I fail to pay the money at a proper amount of time, then the bank can acquire my house and property and also that is what is called as collateral. Okay, so the term collateral refers to any asset or property that a consumer promises to lender as a backup in exchange of a loan. Okay, typically collateral loan agreements let the lender take over the asset if the borrowers fail to pay the debt according to the contract. Going through the next question, question number 66 is, it asks that the percentage by which the money the borrower pays back exceeds the money that was borrowed is called as what? Okay, that means what? Like if the borrower is paying back, if I take around 100 rupees and if I'm paying back 103 rupees, then that 3 rupees is a kind of increase in some percentage. What is that increase called as? Okay, is it called as option A, bank rate, or option B, nominal interest rate, or option C, real interest rate, or option D, terms of credit? The correct answer for this particular question is option B, nominal interest rate. Okay, nominal interest rates are the rates of return which an investor or borrower will get or must pay in the market without any adjustment or inflation. Okay, so rate of interest on bank accounts, all the bonds, loans, all of these rate of interest that you are finding out here and there, all of those rate of interest are called as nominal rate of interest. Okay, when the same nominal rate of interest, if you're also taking inflation into consideration, then that nominal rate of interest will be called as a real rate of interest. Okay, terms of credit is different and bank rate is different. For that you can go and check out for the definitions through our SSB exams online economics course. Right, going through with the next question is question number in detail we have to understand there are some differences between nominal interest rate and real interest rate. So you can pause this section here and then you can go through with this complete section. Going through the next question now is about which one of the following statements about Gandhi-Irwin Pact of 1931 is correct. Okay, so this is regarding the Gandhi-Irwin Pact of 1931. Which among these is correct? The first option says that the government would not release those prisoners who had been non-violent. Option B says the government would not release those prisoners who had indulged in the peaceful picketing of liquor and foreign clothes shops. Then option C says that the Congress did not agree to the suspension of the civil disobedience movement, and option D says that the Congress agreed to take part in the second round table conference. So which among these is a correct statement? And the correct answer is only option D is the correct statement. Okay, what does option A say, sir? It says that the government will not release those prisoners. It had actually released the prisoners and it also released the prisoners who were indulged in the peaceful picketing of liquor. But why did they imprison those prisoners, sir? The main reason is because civil disobedience movement was going on. Okay, so that is the reason why they were all kept in prisons, and thereafter after this Gandhi-Irwin Pact happened in 1931, whereafter these prisoners were released and the Congress also declared that they are going to stop the civil disobedience movement, and they came forward to take part in the second roundtable conference with the British government officials. Going through the next question, question number 68, it says that which among the following founded the Bhil Seva Mandal in 1922? Is it option A, Dayaram Gidumal, or option B, Gurusaday Dutt, or option C, Dhwando Keshav Karve, or option D, Amritlal Vittal Das Thakkar. The correct answer for this particular question is option D, Amritlal Vittal Das Thakkar. Okay, he's also known as Thakkar Bapa and is very famous social worker who worked for the upliftment of the tribal people in Gujarat state of our country. Okay, in 1922 he founded the Bhil Seva Mandal. Going through the next question, question number 69, it says that in 1911, who among the following introduced a bill in the Imperial Legislative Council for introduction of compulsory and free primary education in India? Okay, that means in 1911, there was an Imperial Legislative Council that was set up according to the British government tax and norms at that point of time. So in that council, Indians were also a part. So which Indian was that person who actually introduced a bill for the introduction of the compulsory and free primary education in our country? Is it option A, Dadabhai Nauroji, or option B, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, or option C, Sir Harcourt Butler, or option D, Gopal Krishna Gokhale? The correct answer is option D, Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Okay, Gopal Krishna Gokhale has introduced this bill in the Imperial Legislative Assembly for education and compulsory primary education for children around 6 to 10 years of age. Let us go through with the next question. Question number 70. What does it say, sir? It says that which one of the following statements about the Act 5 of 1843 relating to slavery in India is correct? Okay, so among these four options, three options are absolutely wrong and three statements are factually wrong statements and only one statement is correct. We need to find out which one is the correct statement. Option A says it gave the masters the right to willfully keep their slaves tied to their estates. And option B says it denied the masters the use of courts to assert their claims on slaves. And option C says the law courts and masters worked jointly in resolving the cases of desertion. And option D says that the slaves became the owners of the land. What is the correct answer, sir? The correct answer is option B, sir. Okay, so what does it actually say, sir? You can even pause this section. It actually, option B says that they denied the masters the use of courts. It actually gave masters the use of courts to assert their claims on the slaves. Okay, it is actually correct. Okay, going through with the next question is what? Question number 71, it says which Maratha statement signed the Treaty of Bassein on December 31, 1802? Okay, so which Maratha statement has signed the Treaty of Bassein? Is it Bajirao II or Vittuji Holkar or Daulat-Rao Scindia or option D, Madhavrao Narayan? The correct answer is option A, Bajirao II. Okay, so Treaty of Bassein is a pact between Bajirao II and Peshwa Maratha of Pune and the British actually. Okay, so what happened was a Maratha confederacy happened at that time in 1800s, and whereafter the Peshwa's minister Nana Fadnavis was also involved in that particular confederacy. Military chiefs Daulat-Rao Scindia and Jaswant-Rao Holkar were also disciplined forces at that time, and in October 1802 Holkar defeated Scindia and Peshwa and installed an adopted brother on the throne of Pune. Bajirao fled to Bassein and appealed for the British help, and that is a thing known as the Treaty of Bassein on December of 31, 1802. Okay, so it is Bajirao II who had signed with this particular treaty with the Britishers. Going through the next question, the Amaranayaka system was a major political innovation of which Indian imperial rulers? Okay, Amaranayaka system has been involved with which Indian imperial rulers? Is it option A, Cholas, or option B, Chalukyas, or option C, Guptas, or option D, Vijayanagara? The correct answer is option D, Vijayanagara Empire. Vijayanagara Empire had led around 200 years and it is considered to be a golden era at that time where South India flourished like anything. Okay, Amaranayaka system was a system that is adopted by the Vijayanagara kingdom at that time, and many features of the system had a lot of situations derived from the Ikta system of Delhi Sultanate, and Amaranayakas were actually known as military commanders. Okay, military commanders were named as Amaranayakas. Amara means who do not die and Nayaka means who is a leader. Okay, so it is like a very famous leader who actually does not die and he always remains in the hearts of the people. It is known as Amaranayaka. Okay, who were given the territories to to govern the Rayas or the rulers of the Vijayanagara. Let us go through with the next question. Question number 73. It says Kiran, which is an abbreviation for knowledge involvement in research advancement through nourishing, is an initiative to provide opportunities to women scientists who, option A, had a break in their career due to family reasons, Option B, are pursuing innovative research in life sciences. Option C, have collaborative projects with labs in foreign countries. And option D, have leading edge projects in nanoscience and technology. What is the correct answer, sir? The correct answer is option A, sir. Okay, Kiran is a scheme that is coming under the Women Scientist Program of the Department of Science and Technology of the Government of India, and it is aimed to provide opportunities to those women who had actually kind of had a break in their career. Okay, so this kind of scheme, it will provide an upliftment and will also provide fellowship to those women candidates who are starting their scientific career after a long gap, if they gave the gap because of any kind of family reasons and all. Let us go through with the next question. Question number 74. What does it say, sir? Nidhi is an umbrella scheme under the promotion of what? Nidhi scheme is for what? Is it option A, young and aspiring innovators, or option B, scientific research, or option C, primary health care, or option D, primary education in rural areas? What is the correct answer, sir? The correct answer is option A, sir. Okay, Nidhi, it has its full form as what, sir? It has its full form as National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovations. So the National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovations, or NIDI, is actually a scheme under the Department of Science and Technology. It is for young and aspiring innovators. Going through the next question is, the Saubhagya scheme aims at universal what? Okay, Saubhagya scheme, it aims for what? Is it option A, LPG connection, or option B, household electrification, or option C, primary school education, or option D, public health insurance? And the correct answer for this particular one is option B, household electrification. Okay, Saubhagya scheme is for the household electrification for all the people who are living across our country, especially for the rural areas. It comes under the Pradhan Mantri Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana. Question number 76 asks that the mission Indradhanush aims for what? Is it option A, reducing child deaths due to pneumonia, or option B, reducing impact of rotavirus, or option C, elimination of maternal tetanus, or option D, full immunization of children? Mission Indradhanush aims for the full immunization of children. Okay, it is the ultimate goal of this mission is to ensure complete immunization with all available vaccines for the children up to 2 years of age and pregnant women. Going through question number 77, it says which one of the following statements about the DDU GKY is not correct. Okay, so is it option A, it is a skill training program, option B, it is for rural youth from poor families, and option C, it states that its objective is placement in wage employment, and option D, it says it relies entirely on skill training by government agencies. The correct answer for this particular one is option D, sir. Okay, the full form of DDU GKY is Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushalya Yojana. I repeat, Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Gramin Kaushalya Yojana, and its main aim is to provide placement in the wage employment. It is for mostly rural youth and for the poor families, and it is actually a skill training program, and it completely relies and it works upon the public-private partnership mode. Okay, it works on what, sir? It works on the PPP mode, also known as the public-private partnership mode. Let us go through with question number 78. What does it say, sir? It says that which of the following statements about Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana are correct? Okay, it is about PMGSY, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. Option, statement 1 says it is a part of Government of India's poverty reduction strategy. Statement 2 says it is a centrally sponsored scheme for rural development. And statement 3 says that it provides connectivity in rural areas. We need to select the correct answer. Which among these is actually the correct statements? And is it 1, 2 and 3, or only 1 and 3, or only 2 and 3, or only 1 and 2? The correct answer for this particular one is option A. All the 3 statements are correct. Okay, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana is a very, very crucial part under the Government of India's poverty reduction strategy, and it is a centrally sponsored scheme for rural development, and it also provides connectivity in the rural areas. You can find out the complete details regarding that in its official website. It is actually launched in 2000, and it is actually launched by the former Prime Minister Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji long back. This Yojana comes under the Ministry of Rural Development, sir. Not under the Ministry of Roads, it comes under the Ministry of Rural Development. Going through the next question is, India's territorial limit extends towards the sea up to how many nautical miles? Is it 10 nautical miles, or 12 nautical miles, or 14 nautical miles, or 50 nautical miles? The correct answer for this particular one is option B, 12 nautical miles. Okay, it's India's territorial limit. It extends up to the sea up towards 12 nautical miles, sir. Remember this, very, very important one. Going through the next question, question number 80. Which one of the following is a cold ocean current? Is it option A, Brazilian current, or option B, Gulf Stream, or option C, North Equatorial current, or option D, California current? So among all of these, the California current is actually a cold ocean current. The rest of the others are warm ocean currents. Let us go through with question number 81, and question number 81 says matching the list 1 with the list 2, where in list 1 there are authors and in list 2 there are poetical works. The list of authors mentioned are Brindavan Das, Krishnadas Kaviraj, Mukundaram Chakravarti and Rameshwar Bhattacharya, and the political works and poetical works that are mentioned are Shiva Sankirtan, Chandi Mangal, Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Mangal. Which one is actually a correct matching for that? And the correct answer is option B, sir. What does option B says? A is 4, that means Brindavan Das had written the Chaitanya Mangal, and then comes B is 3, that means Krishnadas Kaviraj has written the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Mukundaram Chakravarti has written the Chandi Mangal, and Rameshwar Bhattacharya has written the Shiva Sankirtan. Right, that is the main answer that we are discussing. Now let us go on with the next question, question number 82. What does it say, sir? It says which one of the following scholars of Akbar's court translated Bhaskaracharya's Leelavati into Persian? Okay, Bhaskaracharya's Leelavati is actually a mathematical treatise and it is a complete book of mathematics and mathematical formulae. So who actually translated the Sanskrit words of Bhaskaracharya's Leelavati into Persian, sir? Is it option A, Abul Fazil, or option B, Faizi, or option C, Fatullah Shirazi, or option D, Atullah Rashidi? Which one is the correct answer? The correct answer is option B, sir. It is actually the translated into Persian by Akbar's poet laureate Faizi, sir. Okay, remember this name. It is Faizi. Going through the next question is who among the following was the chairman of the National Commission for Review of the Working of the Constitution 2020? Is it option A, Justice M.N. Venkatachalaya, or option B, Justice J.S. Verma, or option C, Justice Ranganath Mishra, or option D, Justice Y.K. Sabarwal? The correct answer is option A, Justice M.N. Venkatachalaya, also known as a very famous personality and a very famous justice of our country, Chief Justice of our country, Justice Manepalli Narayana Rao Venkatachalaya's commission. It was set up by a resolution of India government, which is led by Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and it was set up on 22nd of February 2000. The main aim of them is to review the working of the constitution, sir. It was set up in 2000, which is a very, very important one. Going through the next question, question number 84. What does it say, sir? M.M. Punchi Commission on Center-State Relations has recommended the disposal of a bill reserved for the consideration of the Union Executive within how many months? Is it 4 months or 6 months or 8 months or 5 months? The correct answer is option B, 6 months. Okay, so M.M. Punchi Commission has actually recommended it. Actually, Justice Madan Mohan Punchi was actually the head of this particular committee. He was actually the former Chief Justice of India, and this committee was set up on 27th of April 2007, and the main aim of this committee is to look after the center-state relations, and they also worked upon the economy of India after the Sarkaria Commission has taken into consideration. Question number 85 asks who among the following founded the Marathi newspaper Kesari, which is a very, very easy paper. Everybody knows. Is it option A, Lokmanya Tilak, or Vallabhbhai Patel, or Lala Lajpat Rai, or Mahatma Gandhi? The correct answer is option A, Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Okay, Kesari is a newspaper written by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, which is a very, very famous newspaper, and it used as a spokespiece for the Indian national freedom movement, and it also was continued to be published by the Kesari Maratha Trust and Tilak's descendants. Going through the next question, question number 86, it asks which mega public sector undertaking is designated with Navaratna status? Is it option A, Indian Oil Corporation Limited, option B, Gas Authority of India Limited, or option C, Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, and option D, Bharat Electronics Limited? The correct answer is option D, Bharat Electronics Limited, sir. Okay, this Bharat Electronics Limited comes under Navaratna Mega PSU. These are the list of 14 important Navaratna PSUs. They include Bharat Electronics Limited, Container Corporation of India Limited, Engineers India Limited, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, Mahanagar Telephone Nigam Limited, National Aluminium Company Limited, NBCC Limited, NMDC Limited, NLC India Limited, Oil India Limited, Power Finance Corporation Limited, Rashtriya Ispat Nigam Limited, Rural Electrification Corporation Limited, and Shipping Corporation of India Limited. All of these 14 are considered to be the 14 most important. They are given the status of Navaratnas, right? Let us go through with the next question. Question number 87 is about Indian polity related question. It asks that which of the following statements with regard to the creation of a new state or alteration of boundaries of states is or are correct? Okay, option 1 says an amendment has to be moved in the parliament under article 368 of the Constitution of India. The statement 2 says ratification by one half of the states is necessary after the amendment is made by the parliament. And option 3, the statement 3 says that the legislation can be passed by a simple majority of both houses of the parliament. Okay, is it option A 1 and 3 only, or option B 2 only, or option C 3 only, and option D 2 and 3 only? What is the correct answer, sir? The correct answer is option C only. The statement 3 is correct, sir. Okay, the first two statements are wrong. Like, for example, what does article 368 say, sir? Article 368 deals with the amendment of the constitution, and it deals with the adding something or removing something from the constitution. Every time when you create a new state or union territory, that is not considered to be as an amendment under article 368. That is the reason why any kind of amendment regarding the center state creation of new territory or new state, it is not coming under article 368. That is what we need to remember. Okay, going through with the next question is, which one of the following is the largest linguistic group of India? Okay, is it option A Sino-Tibetan, or option B Austric, or option C Indo-Aryan, or option D Dravidian? The correct answer is option C Indo-Aryan. Okay, Indo-Aryan languages are the most largest populated group of our country, and all the others, the second largest will be the Dravidian ones. Going through the next question is, which one of the following water bodies separates the Andaman and Nicobar Islands? Is it option A Gulf of Mannar, option B 10-degree channel, option C 11-degree channel, or option D Park Strait? So that important important latitude that separates both Andaman and Nicobar Islands, it is the 10-degree channel, sir. You can see the 10-degree channel separates the Andaman Islands from the Nicobar Islands. Going through the next, and you need to remember even 11-degree channel. 11-degree channel, actually the 11-degree channel is somewhere here. It separates the main Andaman, it separates the lower Andaman from little Andaman. Okay, that is also an additional point that you can remember. Now let us go through with the next question, and the next question is, which one of the following longitudes is the standard meridian of India? Okay, standard meridian of India, is it 83.5 degrees east, or 82.5 degree east, or 82.5 degree west, or 83.5 degree west? The correct answer is option B 82.5 degree east. Okay, so this particular longitude that you can see, it is the 82.5 degree east longitude, and the main latitude that goes between our country, it is the Tropic of Cancer. Matching the list 1 with the list 2 using the correct codes. List 1 is the names and list 2 is the locations where they call it. List 1 has the options as cyclones, hurricanes, typhoons, and willy-willies. An option. List 2 has the options of Western Australia, South China Sea, Indian Ocean, and Atlantic Ocean. So the cyclones are called in Indian Ocean if it occurs in our country, and then hurricanes are those that are actually called in Western we need to understand that the correct answer is option B, and it is 3, 4, 2, and 1. Cyclones, it is called in Indian Ocean. Hurricanes is called in Atlantic Ocean. Willy-willies, it is called in Western Australia, and typhoons, it is called in the South China Sea. Okay, so these are the 4 important options. Now let us go through with the next question. Which one of the following is or are the social security schemes? Is it option 1? The given schemes, they include the first one is Atal Pension Yojana, and Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana, and Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana. Which among these 3 is actually the social security scheme? And the correct answer is that all of them are the social security schemes of our country. Now let us go through with the next question is, which one of the following units is not a part of the All India Radio's transcription and program exchange service? Is it option A, Central Archives, or Sound Archives, or Advanced Research Unit, or Transcription Unit? The correct answer for this particular one is option C, Advanced Research Unit. Advanced Research Unit was not a part of All India Radio's transcription and program exchange service. Going through with the next question is, which of the following statements about Panchayati Raj system are correct? The statement 1 says all seats in the panchayat are filled by persons chosen by direct election. Statement 2 says the Gram Sabha consists of persons registered in the village electoral rolls. Statement 3 says that the chairperson of a panchayat is elected in accordance with the law passed by each state, and the statement 4 says that all states in India have a 3-tier system of panchayats. And the correct answer is only 1, 2 and 3 statements are correct, but the statement 4 is wrong. Why, sir? All states in India do not have 3-tier system of panchayats. Okay, according to Article 243M of the Constitution, the states of Nagaland, Meghalaya, Mizoram, and 6th schedule areas and hilly areas of Manipur do not have panchayats. Okay, they are all exempted from this particular panchayat inclusion. Going through the next 95th question is, which of the following statements is or are correct? Okay, the statement 1 says that the elections to panchayat are conducted by the state election commission. Statement 2 says that the state election commissioner is appointed by the chief election commissioner of India. The statement 3 says that the state legislatures have the power to make laws on all matters relating to the panchayat elections. And the correct answer is option D. Only the statements 1 and 3 are correct. Okay. What does the statement 2 say, sir? It says that the state election commissioner is appointed by the chief election commissioner. No. State election commissioner is appointed by the governor of that particular respective state. That is the main point that you need to remember. And any state legislature can pass any kind of law regarding to the working of the panchayats, elections and all. Going through the next question is, which one of the following is not a correct description of the union cabinet? Option A says that it is a part of the parliament. Option B says that it is responsible to the parliament. Option C says that it remains in power till it enjoys the confidence of the parliament. And option D says that a person from outside the parliament can never be appointed a member of the cabinet. And which among these is actually not a correct statement, sir? Only option B is not correct, sir. Okay. The complete cabinet is responsible only to the Lok Sabha, sir. Okay. Cabinet is answerable only to the Lok Sabha, and the complete cabinet is led by the Prime Minister. And yes, any person who is outside the parliament, he can never be appointed as a member of the cabinet. But in the other countries, like in the countries of the United States and in the countries of the Singapore and all, there even a non-member of parliament can also become a cabinet minister, but it is not acceptable in our country. Next question is, which one of the following statements about the composition of the parliament is not correct? Okay, is it option A, representatives of the states in Rajya Sabha are elected directly by the people? Option B says representatives from union territories in Lok Sabha are chosen by direct elections. Option C says that the Rajya Sabha has 12 nominated members. And option D says that Lok Sabha has seats reserved for SCs and STs. The correct answer is only the option A is absolutely a wrong statement. Okay, so the representatives in Rajya Sabha are elected indirectly. How are they elected, sir? They are elected by the elected members of legislative assemblies of the of the states in accordance with the system of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote. Okay, Rajya Sabha is not subject to dissolution, and every year around 1/3 of its members will retire. Going through the next question is, which among the following fundamental rights is or are available to the non-citizens? Okay, so among these fundamental rights, which of these are actually available to the non-citizens? Option 1, this statement 1 is freedom of speech. Statement 2 is protection against self-incrimination. Statement 3, freedom of conscience. And statement number 4 is non-discrimination in matters of employment. So which among these is actually available to the non-citizens? Only the statements 2 and 3 are there, sir. If you can see, you can pause this section here and you can see all of these are the list of the fundamental rights that are available to both citizens and foreigners except enemy aliens. So among all of these, you cannot find anywhere freedom of speech and non-discrimination in matters of employment. Whereas both options 2 and 3 can be found. So only 2 and 3 are those correct answers that we can find out, and that is the reason why option C is the correct answer. Let us go through with the next question. Which one of the following statements about the Vice President of India is not correct? Okay, option A says that he is not eligible for re-election. Option B says that he must not be less than 35 years of age. And option C says that he is elected by the members of an electoral roll or electoral college consisting of members of both the houses of parliament. And option D says that his term of office is 5 years. So among all of these, only option A is a wrong statement, sir. He is actually eligible for re-election. Any vice president and president can again be re-elected again. Okay, and that is a reason why we need to understand this is a very, very important question. And it's also a very easy question also. Going through question number 100 is, a motion of no confidence is moved against whom? Is it moved against an individual minister, or option D, the council of ministers, or option C, the prime minister, or option D, a political party? A motion of no confidence can be moved in the Lok Sabha, and it can be moved only by a MP, and it is moved against the complete council of ministers. Okay, so this is actually a floor test to prove the majority in Lok Sabha and can be moved by any MP, and it must have a backing of at least 50 MPs, sir. Okay, At least 50 MPs should be there, and it is the speaker who will decide whether the debate is there. Every day at morning 10 a.m. Okay, every day at morning 10 a.m. if any particular person he wants to move a no confidence motion, at morning 10 a.m. he must actually submit the proposal to the Lok Sabha speaker. Only then it will be taken into consideration. But if you are if the particular MP is submitting this proposal after 10 a.m., then it will be taken into consideration. It will be moved into motion in the next day's 10 a.m. Okay. Going through the next question is, which one of the following tributaries of river Indus feeds the canal system of the Bhakra Nangal project? Is it option A Chenab, or option B Satluj, or option C Ravi, and option D Jhelum? The correct answer is option B Satluj. Okay, it is a Satluj river that actually feeds the canal system of the Bhakra Nangal dam. Going through the next question, when the rivers discharge their waters from all directions into a lake, like if there is a lake or depression down, when all the rivers are discharging their waters into that particular depression, then what is this kind of pattern known as? Is it known as trellis, or dendritic, or radial, or centripetal? The correct answer is option D, centripetal, sir. Okay, this kind of pattern is known as a centripetal pattern. You can find it out. It looks in this particular manner. Going through the next question, which one of the following statements about the Coriolis force is not correct? Is it maximum at the poles or absent at the equator, and it deflects the wind to the right direction in the southern hemisphere, and it deflects the wind to the right direction in the northern hemisphere? The correct answer is option C, sir. Okay, it actually deflects the wind towards the left direction. It is not right, it is actually the left direction in the southern hemisphere and right direction in the northern hemisphere. That means the winds will go towards the right direction in the northern hemisphere, and they will go to the left direction in the southern hemisphere. Going through the next question is, chronologically arrange the following treaties or conventions signed between the Marathas and the British, starting with the earliest. Okay, and the given treaties are Treaty of Salbai, Treaty of Purandar, Convention of Vadgaon, and Treaty of Surat. The correct answer is option A, 4, 2, 3 and 1. Treaty of Salbai is signed in 1782, Treaty of Purandar is in 1776, Convention of Vadgaon is in 1779, and Treaty of Surat is in 1775. If you go in that particular way, the earliest is in the Treaty of Surat will be the first one, and then comes the Treaty of Purandar, and then comes the Convention of Vadgaon, and then comes the Treaty of Salbai, and that is the reason why the correct answer is options 4, 2, 3 and 1. Going through the next question, which of the following statements about the sannyasi and fakir disturbances or rebellions are correct? Statement 1 says, Governor General Warren Hastings faced the persistent sannyasi and fakir disturbances in Bengal and Bihar. Statement 2 says, there was a number of Shaivite Naga sannyasis who formed into armed bands. And statement 3 says, Majnu Shah, who led the bands into Bengal from 1771, was their prominent leader. We need to find out which one is the correct answer, and the correct answer is that all the given statements are absolutely correct. Okay, so it is actually the Warren Hastings was the Governor General at that time, and it is actually at that time when both sannyasis and fakirs, they both joined together to completely expel British from the area, but they were not successful. They were actually led by Majnu Shah, who's actually, he also defied the British authority, and he also began to levy taxes on the farmers and zamindars in Bengal. Going through question number 106 is, in 1943, young leaders in which one of the following districts of Maharashtra set up a parallel government or known as Prati Sarkar with volunteer corps or Seva Dals and village units or Tufan Dals? The correct answer, which one is one? Is it Pune or Nasik or Nagpur or Satara? The correct answer is option D, Satara. Okay, so in 1943 at that time, the Satara young leaders at that time, they all joined together. The both Tufan Dals and Seva Dals have joined together, and they formed a Prati Sarkar as a rebellious attitude towards the British government at that time, which was going on imperiously. Going through the next question, question number 107, it says that who founded the Central Hindu School at Banaras, which was later developed into Banaras Hindu University? Is it option A, Madan Mohan Malaviya, or option B, Annie Besant, or option C, Ishwara Chandra Vidyasagar, or option D, Madam H.P. Blavatsky? The correct answer is option B, Annie Besant, sir. Annie Besant had founded the Banaras Hindu University at that time as the Central Hindu School in Banaras. Going through 108th question, which one among the following is not a feature of centralization? Is it national unity or uniformity or prosperity or liberty? It is actually the prosperity which is not a feature of the centralization. Which one of the following is not an objective of the Niti Ayog? Option A says that it provides a critical direction and strategic input for development process. Option B says that it functions as a think tank in providing the key elements of the policy. Option C says that it monitors and evaluates the implementation of the programs. And option D says that it offers a platform for resolution of the interstate conflicts as provider of the first and last resort. Which among these is actually not an objective of Niti Aayog? Option D is absolutely not an objective of Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog does not perform the resolution of interstate conflicts. Interstate conflicts are completely performed and they all are under the purview of the judicial review only. Okay, the main functions of Niti Aayog include fostering cooperative federalism, monitoring and evaluation, acting as a resource in center and knowledge hub, and also they also provide design and policy and also provide program framework for whatever programs that are being launched. Let us now go through the next question. Article 231 of the Constitution of India grants power to establish a common high court for two or more states to whom? Is it option A, the Parliament, or option B, the Supreme Court, or option C, the President of India, or option D, the Union Cabinet? The correct answer is option A, Parliament. According to Article 231 in Constitution of India, notwithstanding anything contained in preceding provisions of this chapter, Parliament may, by law, establish a common high court for two or more states or for two or more states and the Union Territory. Okay, so this is what it was mentioned regarding this important article. So the power goes to the Parliament. Going to the next question, which one among the following motions cannot be made while introducing an ordinary bill in the Parliament? Okay, so which among these is actually cannot be made? Which among these motions is absolutely that cannot be made while introducing an ordinary bill? Is it option A, that the bill be taken into consideration, or option B, that the bill be circulated for the purpose of eliciting the public opinion? Option C says that the bill be referred to a select committee, or option D says that the bill be referred to a joint committee of the House without the conference of the other House. And the correct answer is absolutely option D. You cannot have an ordinary bill referred to a joint committee without concurrence. You need to have the conference of the other House also. Thereafter only you can go through with the joint committee. Otherwise it is waste. Okay. Going through with the next question, question number 112 or 112. Which one among the following was eliminated by the 44th Amendment Act of the Parliament? Is it option A, right against exploitation, or right to constitutional remedies, or right to property, or right to education? It was actually the right to property that was actually eliminated by the 44th Amendment Act of the Parliament. Going through question number 113, identify the crop on the basis of the following characteristics. Actually, we need to find out what crop is it. The statement 1 is it is a kharif crop. Oz, Aman and Boro are the three different growing periods in an agricultural year. And statement 3 says that about 1/4 of the total cropped area of India is under its cultivation. Which among these is actually the correct answer? So the correct answer is option B, rice. Okay, so rice is actually a kharif crop, and Oz, Aman and Boro are actually the varieties of the rice, sir. Okay, about 1/4 of the total cropped area of our country is growing rice. Question number 114, which one of the following is a type of igneous rock? Is it option A, marble, or halite, or granite, or shale? The correct answer is option C, granite. Here are some examples of igneous rocks: andesite, basalt, diorite, gabbro, granite, obsidian, pegmatite, peridolite, pumice, rhyolite, soria, tuff, and many others are also some examples of the igneous rocks. Okay, so the correct answer is granite. Going through the next question, ozone layer which absorbs ultraviolet radiation is found in which one of the following layers of atmosphere? Is it found in ionosphere, or troposphere, or mesosphere, or stratosphere? Ozone layer is actually located in the stratosphere, sir. Okay, it is a part of the stratosphere. You need to find out. Okay, it is above the troposphere and it is located in stratosphere, wherein which lower of amounts of ozone is found. Above stratosphere we have mesosphere, then thermosphere, and then exosphere. Question number 116, which one of the following statements about primary waves of earthquakes is not correct? Option A says that they are similar to sound waves. Option B says that they can travel only through solid materials. Option C says that they travel through gaseous, liquid and solid materials. And option D says that they move faster and are the first to arrive at the surface. The correct answer is option B, sir. Okay, that they can travel actually in all kind of areas. They can travel in solid, liquid and gaseous materials also. Okay, so the correct answer is option B. Okay, Going through with the next question is alluvial soils vary in the nature from sandy loam to clay. They are generally how? Option A says that they are generally poor in potash and rich in phosphorus. Option B says that they are poor in both potash and phosphorus. Option C says that they are both rich in potash and phosphorus. And option D says that it is rich in potash and poor in phosphorus. The correct answer is option D, sir. Okay. Alluvial soils are actually rich in potash and poor in phosphorus. Now let us go through with the next question. Who among the following was popularly known as Lok Hitwadi? Option A, Gopal Hari Deshmukh. Option B, Mahadev Govind Ranade. Option C, Gopal Krishna Gokhale. And option D, Jyotiba Phule. The correct answer is option A, Gopal Hari Deshmukh. Okay, Gopal Hari Deshmukh is also known as the Lok Hitwadi. He is also called as Rao Bahadur. He is actually a very famous Indian activist, social thinker, reformer, and a writer. He had received the name as Deshmukh because he wants to become a very famous personality in the freedom movement of our country. Going through with the next question is the last but one question, 119th one. Who among the following socialist activists persuaded Gandhiji not to restrict the Salt March protest to the men alone? Is it option A, Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay, or option B, Sarojini Naidu, or option C, Matangini Hazra, or option D, Mithuben Petit? The correct answer is option A, sir. It is Kamala Devi Chattopadhyay. She was a very famous social reformer and freedom activist. She is also most remembered for contribution towards Indian freedom movements regarding the renaissance of Indian handicrafts, handlooms, theatre, and independent India. Okay, so she was the first person who actually approached Gandhiji, and she requested Gandhiji to not to restrict the Salt March only towards the men. And the last question is, which one of the following painters was not associated with Humayun? Is it option A, Mir Syed Ali, or option B, Maulana Dost Musawir, or option C, Maulana Yusuf, or option D, Behzad? Correct answer is option D, sir. It is Behzad. Behzad is actually not at all related towards Humayun kingdom. He is actually related. He is actually an Iranian poet, is a Persian painter, and is a very scholar at that time, and he belongs towards the country of Iran or Persia at that time. So that is it regarding the complete answers and explanations regarding the CDS GK 2021 question paper. I hope that you people are very clear regarding this complete update, and I hope that this session has helped you very much, and all the very best for the upcoming examinations. And I wish that you people have got too many questions right, and all the very best. So if in case you people are preparing for the upcoming examinations like NDA, or for the upcoming CDS exam, or for the upcoming exams like AFCAT, INET, Territorial Army, CAPF, INET, and Airmen Group X, Group 5, and also for the exams of the Army Cadet College or Military Nursing Service or various other exams, I highly recommend that you please go through the SSB Crack Exams learning app, download it from the Google Play Store, and subscribe yourself to your favorite course. You can even go to our website learn.ssbcrackexams.com, and thereafter you can also subscribe yourself to your favorite course and then start off your preparation, wherein which we people are providing the complete detailed lecture content, study material, sample practice questions, quizzes, exercises, mock tests that are all made taking into consideration the latest exam patterns. So I hope that this session was very helpful for you. If in case you have any other doubts or queries, please feel free to ask in the comment box and also in the discussion box. We are always there to help you out. You getting the uniform is what we always dream, and all the very best for your future endeavors. Always stay safe, stay healthy, keep smiling, be confident. Jai Hind.